Mr Acting Deputy President, and I rise to make a contribution on the Autonomous Sanctions Act to introduce a Magnitsky-style sanctions regime for Australia. It will be a brief contribution because of the time management motion in place to ensure this and other important legislation passes tonight. Magnitsky-style sanctions is an idea whose time has come, and in the current geopolitical environment has an irresistible logic. It has in recent times become a very popular cause, and I expect it will shortly pass this chamber unanimously, but that was not always the case. It was only a few years ago that it was a very lonely cause. I'm proud to have been one of the early advocates for Magnitsky sanctions before it was my party's policy to introduce them. I recognise that there are a number of others in the chamber and in other places who are also early supporters of this important cause, in particular Senator Kitching and, of course, the member for Menzies, Kevin Andrews, who did a wonderful job chairing that inquiry. But I want to pay tribute to someone who has been recognised by others as well in this debate, who was earlier than all of us in recognising the importance of this initiative, and that is, of course, the former member for Melbourne Ports, Michael Danby. Michael was publicly making the case for Magnitsky sanctions before it was cool, and introduced in the previous parliament a private member's bill to legislate them. He in turn was inspired by people like Bill Browder and Senator John McCain, who pioneered and first instituted these sanctions in the United States, which has since been widely adopted across the world. It was first enacted, of course, in the memory of Sergei Magnitsky, who was murdered in custody in Russia, but it has since become a much wider cause for those who are oppressed all around the world. I'm very pleased that Australia is now standing with like-minded countries, including the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, the European Union and many others, in equipping ourselves with a vital tool to combat rising authoritarianism. It is time that democracies have the ability to push back and enact a real and personal cost for those who abuse human rights and seek to reshape the international rules-based order from one which respects the freedoms of the individual to one where the power can be exercised without any restraint. No longer will human rights abusing and corrupt foreign officials be able to comfort themselves with the idea that even if they were sanctioned by our partners, Australia could be a safe haven for their ill-gotten gains or a refuge for them to flee to. I hope that in a few years' time, as momentum for sanction regimes like this grows all around the world, that there will soon be nowhere that they can seek comfort or shelter. I am particularly pleased to see a uniquely Australian innovation in this version of a Magnitsky Act. For the first time ever in the world, our Act will not only equip us to target those who abuse human rights or engage in seriously corrupt conduct, but also those who threaten our national interest in the cyber realm. This will become an increasingly important tool to help shape and deter our adversaries, in addition to the other measures we have at our disposal, like publicly attributing responsibility for cyber attacks. It will be particularly powerful if our allies and friends who already have Magnitsky schemes amend them to include this provision, and I encourage them to do so. Acting in concert, we can wield a powerful weapon of deterrence against those who seek to do us harm. In conclusion, I'd like to thank the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Senator Payne, in bringing this proposal to the Parliament today. It was Senator Payne who first referred this issue to the Human Rights Subcommittee of the Joint Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and Trade, and it is Senator Payne who has brought forward this robust legislation today. In addition to the Foreign Relations Act, which passed this time last year, which ensures the federal government is in charge of our foreign policy as it should be, Australia is equipping ourselves with the tools that we need to defend our democracy, our sovereignty and our freedom in a dangerous world. In passing the bill tonight, and I hope in the House tomorrow, the Parliament of Australia is sending a very strong message to those who would seek to bully and threaten us to seek to change who we are. Australia is a proud liberal democracy. We will stand up for ourselves, our interests and our values on the international stage, no matter what you throw at us.
Senator